Sash, what's going on, man?
I was rocking out to a bit of reggae then. I liked it.
I know. We got Wednesday, March 5th, man. We didn't go live last week. I think we played a recap of something else. But I saw you last week.
Yes, sir, you did. I'm surprised you didn't go live, but you were a pretty busy man last week.
I did a lot of recordings and stuff, but it was rough, man. It was Fence Tech, man. It was a Fence Tech week, man. It was just everywhere you went, there was somebody else you knew, and you were just kind of bouncing in. I know I spent a lot of time in your booth, though.
It's a fun booth. We try to have fun in our shows, in our booth. It's all about connecting with everyone, but have a good time at the same time,
Who blows all them balloons up, man?
Dude, it definitely is not me. Let me tell you now, 100%. My lungs cannot take that capacity. Yep.
You got like a balloon person.
Yep.
Around, right?
Yep.
And the beer was flowing. So thanks for that beer, man.
Yep. That's all we're good at.
Hey, but by the way, introduce yourself. I mean, I feel like everybody knows who you are. I've had you on a few times. I'm Brian with Fence Show and Security Expo, My Fence Life, Fence University, and so on. But tell us a little bit about Sasha.
So, for those of you that don't know me, you can tell my accent's from the deep south of Alabama. Outside of that, the GM at the Riverside location for Line Fence and Steel Supply, and we specialize in iron products. Panels, welded wire, temp fencing. That's really our baby that we focus on here.
Yep. Yeah. Michaela, if you don't know her, she says, "Hey, what's up?"
Doing Michaela. She's awesome. Yep.
But anyway, today I want to talk about something more serious, though. We do a lot of, you and I do. I mean, if anybody knew us well, you'd know you and I do a lot of joking around, man. I say 90% of what we talk about is just joking and having a good time. But let's talk about tariffs, man. What's It's a subject that is coming up almost if you go on any social media feeds, you talk to anybody, everybody's nervous. We're, and maybe we're nervous because we're having flashbacks of the COVID in 2021. Yes. So maybe we're not, and you're not being paranoid if it feels like everybody's actually out to get you.
Yeah.
Right? So tell me a little bit, how's this tariff? You have a pretty big insight on the tariffs because you are what I like to call a hybrid model of manufacturer, distributor, and that area. So you deal with tariffs on a regular basis. Tell us all what tariffs really is and how it affects you as a manufacturer bringing products into the U.S.
So look, at the moment, nobody really knows, right? So we know that there was tariffs placed, which we were all facing. They're in effect as of Tuesday, the last round. We had a first round for anyone that's importing anything out of China, especially. Did I lose you, Brian? Did I get off?
We can hear you, but we can't see you. So it looks like we lost your video.
Yeah, what happened there?
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining.
Me either.
Oh, look at that. The second your video went down, we got like 2 or 3 more viewers. That's weird.
Yeah. What's up with the video? Let's have a look.
So, for everybody that's listening, though, the reason I did this was because I wanted to have a discussion about tariffs. And it's a big deal for our industry. We all follow the pricing. And I think we've all gotten, if anybody that's buying from any of the distributors, probably one of the national ones, you probably already got some notices saying that there's either price increases already happened or it's going to happen soon. So I got that as well. And I see some of the stuff, Sasha, and some of the groups and stuff where people are saying, hey, I don't think this is fair. Why am I getting an increase? You're still selling the materials that are in your yard right now. And I probably have a different take on that. I look at it like, well, I think the increases are going to happen because they, if you have a certain amount of product, you can't just sell everything you have. And while Sasha's fixing this, I'll kind of continue on. You can't just sell everything you have in your yard and then replace it at a higher cost without having that affect your bank account. So I look at it like this: if you had a roll of chain link in your yard that cost you $100 and you're going to sell it for $115, and then you're going to replace it with another roll of wire that costs you $100, you have $15 more in your bank. So if the tariffs come into play and it's going to cost you, I'm just explaining to some people about the, tariffs, how it affects us, even as someone that's selling materials at our level. But if I have that same roll of wire at $100 and I'm going to sell it at $115, and it's going to cost me $125 to replace it. All I do is have less dollars in the bank and the same roll of wire. So that's only if I was planning on replacing that inventory to, again, resell it again. So if you're planning on going out of business and just selling your inventory, then the tariffs probably wouldn't affect you. If you're not planning on purchasing anything new, then you could sell it at cheaper costs. So I think that, in my opinion, I think that's how it works. So that same roll of wire that you would sell for 115 to make 15, you now have to sell for 140, to make the same $15 if you're planning on replacing the wire. So anyway, so now that you're back, tell us how that tariffs affect you guys.
So the short of it is exactly what you said, right? The basics of the tariffs, replacement costs, right? If you keep it really simple. The issue at the moment is the first round of tariffs that was placed on, Mexico, Canada, then that was put back a month. China got the hit at 10%. That stuck. And the issue is then there was another 10%. Then there was the 25%. And now there's this uncertainty. Is it coming? Is it going? Are they going to take it off? So at this very moment, the tariffs are in place, but no one's really sure if they're in place for good. So just today, there was news that the auto industry was not going to get the tariffs put on them just for another month, because it's created. Yeah, you're right. It's created that PSD for whatever that word is from the COVID time. So yeah, we're all don't know what to do. It's here. It's come. Any fencing installers out there, you've received letters from distributors right now saying, hey, we're lifting up due to replacement costs. So it's just so uncertain. That the import market.
Sam right here says the biggest issue is not knowing what's coming next. Kind of what you're saying, the uncertainty. So that kind of backs up what you were in the middle of saying.
Yeah. And the thing too is I come from, with me, no pun intended, both sides of the fence. I'm not just a distributor. I actually first came out of the install side. So it's really hard when you're bidding jobs and you bid the job at this price. And then you're ringing me all the time saying, Sash, where am I? What do I do? I'm like, well, hey, currently this is where you should be prepared for. But what happens if it comes off? Like, what do we do as suppliers, right? So there's just so much uncertainty at the moment. And I really feel for the install side. Make sure you're really working with good vendors that actually know what's going on and how to navigate and help you navigate. So going back to your first point, then, the camera turned off, probably because I shouldn't say what I'm going to say. No, but the truth is this. There's material on the ground that's cost pre-tariff, right? Bang, like you said. Then there's the new cost of my new orders coming in, right? So replacement cost, we call it. What do I sell it at as a distributor? And I think that's the gray line that I feel for the installers, right? Because, well, what do I tell you? Right now on the ground, I might have 100 6-foot commercial panels.
Yeah.
They're gone. The new cost is 20% more. So it's a real balancing act. And in the end, I don't have the perfect answer because this is so uncertain. There's just no idea because the writing of the tariffs, they're very ambiguous. Like, hey, it's in Tuesday. They're all in effect.
Right.
Southeast Asia, Canada, Mexico, and China got 10%. The question is, okay, that's the import side. What happened domestically? Like, what's going on in the domestic market?
The tariffs were always there, though. I mean, they weren't. It's not like when we say a 25% tariff, is that 25% on top of what tariffs were already there? Because I mean, there was always a tariff there. I mean, we always had this tariff. Didn't you always have them bring this up, whether it's 10% or whatever it is? So when we say there's a 25% tariff on steel, is that 25% on top of what you were already paying?
Yes.
Is that what it is? So it's actually 35% tariff or whatever it is.
Yeah, so when we got those first round of tariffs back in, I think it was 18, somewhere around there, whenever it was, 18, 19, somewhere there, they stuck. And we knew what was going to happen. There was no sort of uncertainty. It was like, hey, we're putting 25% on imports coming out of China, and it was there. So everyone knew, okay, Those people that were importing knew, okay, this is it. When this stock comes in, the replacement cost is this. Today, it's a little different because it's not so clear cut. Yeah, it was clear cut that this is going on, but then the reaction of the markets have had a play in, well, maybe we went too far, maybe we didn't. In the end, what does that mean for us? I call myself a dumb fencing guy. What does that mean for me? It's really uncertain, right? Like, I've got bids going out. You got a bid that's going out that's not going to go, let's say, land for 2 months. You really need to put escalation clauses in your contracts. And I've got a lot of people that I've been talking to that are nervous because, like, well, do we bid it at today's market? I'm like, yeah, with escalation clauses to protect you, because all the GCs, all of our clients know that the tariffs are here.
Yep.
But if you don't protect yourself as an installer, our industry, Brian, better than anyone.
Yeah.
They're going to go, oh, that's your price. No. It's not your price. And these people have to understand these are government tariffs. These are not just, oh, it's a tariff. No, this is a government tariff. So there's no ways around it. If they stick it, it's here. There's nothing you can do about it. And in my case, I have clients that have pre-ordered jobs, let's say December, right? Our lead times are probably, if we're doing projects, 8, whatever it is, from overseas.
Mm-hmm.
On the water, if it didn't land prior to Tuesday, I've got another hit. And it's just
without even knowing.
Hard.
Yeah. You wouldn't even know. So it's not even stuff in transit. I mean, it's not even stuff that's already here. It's stuff that could be in transit, already built, and you've already paid for it. It's sitting there, and all of a sudden, bam, you've got another whatever $10,000 bill or something ridiculous.
From what we understand, the tariffs at the moment is anything that landed prior to Tuesday depends from what country it came from now, right? So if it came from China, got another 10% hit. If it came from Canada, there's 25%. If it came from Mexico, and then so it's when it lands at port, the date it actually lands and gets off the ship is the date the tariff will backdate. So if you got everything off the ships on the port prior to Tuesday, then there's no tariff.
So are you guys all out there with tugboats, just tugging these?
Oh, dude, I bought 2 boats. 2 boats, but unfortunately they both sunk. So
trying to tug that freight line back to the shore. But you know what? And that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. I assumed that if it was a 25% tariff, that would be total. I didn't realize that was on top of whatever tariffs we were already paying for the products coming in. So that's we could end up with a larger increase. But I'm one of those believers that put it in your bid. I like your escalation clause. I think I'm going to circle back on the escalation clause with a lot of the members and stuff as well, and even on here. And maybe we need to have a whole discussion about making sure we need to come up with a simple sentence, escalation clause sentence that we can all start putting inside of our quotes. And I think maybe the distributors and stuff, maybe when we start sending out quotes, or manufacturers, we should start sending out something saying, hey, you may want to consider adding this to your, this clause to your quote. Maybe we got to have a whole campaign and just get that out there. But, one thing I've noticed though, and again, I'm just noticing back from past experiences back during the COVID in 2021, when we all had that spike where everything went up. Obviously it took a lot longer to come down than it took to go up. But when we did that, and I think the main purpose is because we're trying to make our domestic products more competitive with the import products. And I mean, that's typically the premise behind this, why they're doing it. Not just have a trade war, but there's a trade war happening. And China says they're gonna fight to the end with this trade war. But from what I was reading today, in some of the articles, but wouldn't if with all this 25-50% increases, like right now, normally when everything's stable, everything's going on, typically domestic goods are not more than 20%, 25% more than import, right? So it's just if I was to bid it on a project. So if the imports went up 25, 30, 40%, then why isn't the domestic always, at this point stay cheaper, right? Why is domestic going to go up and increase above?
Well, I refuse to answer that question due to my, position. So that's a good question. Look, we've had this debate. COVID was a good example of, well, actually 2018 was a great example of the domestic market, right?
Right.
The import, and it's just China import for now, at that period got a 25% increase. So for all you fencing people out there, your Schedule 40, LG20, your LG15, all your pipe, all your chain link, all the strand, got a big hit. And what happened in the domestic market, Brian? Like we all know the domestic market went up.
Yeah.
So
why? Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people, will say, oh, the domestic market's greedy. Look, there's money in everything. But when you look at what happened, and it's happening again, the domestic market can only have so much capacity. There's only so much that they can produce. So when you get a spike like this, what has happened? People are panic buying. They're going now, you know what? I don't want import. I'm going to go straight over to the domestic market. I'm going to buy domestic pipe. Here's the problem. They can only produce so much at the moment. They've got coils that they've planned for, and they can only do what they can do when they're producing it. So what happens domestically, there's a massive supply. There's a massive supply chain issue because demand is here and supply is here. So they can't get to this demand. So what happens is they lift their prices up because they cannot produce the products quick enough. Now, people will say that's greed. In business, yeah, there's money that everybody wants to make. That's point one. But point two is they just can't afford, they cannot produce it. So it doesn't matter whether they give it to you for 1 cent or $2, they just can't produce it enough. So, and everything becomes expensive even for them to purchase. So it's a real mess.
You don't think that we've been kind of talking about this? We didn't kind of know. So do you think that they just didn't ramp up production because why do that? Why ramp up production so you can just work harder to sell more materials when you could just sell the materials you have that you're going to produce at a normal pace at a higher price? Is that what it is? I mean, isn't this what they've always dreamt of? I mean, if you had a business that was producing a product and you've now got a demand for it, and now you're trying to push people back into import products, it doesn't make much sense to me.
And I feel, look, there's a bit of that, Brian, for sure. There is a bit, but you can't supply the product quick enough. So the other part that people don't understand is if you can't produce the product quick enough, what are you going to do? Like they have to rank because they're now doing, like, just imagine the mills at the moment. They're going to do 24-hour shifts. That costs money. They're going to have to try and organize coils. And the coils now are expensive because they're not all getting domestic coil. They're getting import coil. So there's a lot of the supply chain is the real breakdown. So I believe there's a bit of greed there, don't get me wrong, but really when you look at it, and I think people don't understand that, when you look at manufacturing, once that supply chain breaks, it's a mess because even domestically, what am I going to do? I cannot produce enough pipe for your chain link fence and your posts. I've got to selectively choose, well, not choose, but I end up selectively having to sell to certain people that, okay, I can't just sell a bundle because I barely have a bundle. I need to sell a truck.
Yeah.
So it just bogs the supply chain down, with therefore increases the prices because everything's so expensive to make.
It is costing them more. I mean, so it's just because they're selling more. We want to think, you would think naturally that, like anything else, if I had a project that had 10,000 feet of fence opposed to 100 feet of fence, the more footage I get, the cheaper I can sell per foot that fence for. But it feels like with our materials, the more materials I want, the more expensive it's getting. So, and for us in the fence industry, maybe on our side, it's like the larger project, we're expecting the better price. And if I remember back, even during the COVID stuff, when you called up and tried to get a truckload of stuff, it was actually more than if you were to just get a few rolls of wire. So it's just for us at our end, and I'm just talking to you now as a distributor / manufacturer. I think we get frustrated with that. Why is it now that we're trying to buy more and more domestic that we're going to get charged, even more than when we were buying a smaller amount? And it doesn't seem like, it seems like it was premeditated to raise the price up on us. It feels like to us as, and I'm talking to you now as a fence company owner. And we remember what it was like in 2021 when everybody was reaching out, and to me as well, because through the association, and they couldn't get supplies. It felt like all the, suppliers' gates were locked and they couldn't get new accounts and they couldn't get supplies. So I think people are paranoid of that happening again if there's some sort of shortage of materials. Do you think something like that could happen again? I mean, we all remember it, especially the smaller fence companies. Some of them were almost borderline taken out. They were selling jobs they couldn't actually start because they couldn't get materials. Do you think something like that could happen again, or are they just going to have to bid stuff higher?
Oh, it's going to happen. Look, these tariffs are going to cause the same issue. I don't necessarily think it's going to be as bad as that COVID period, but yeah, of course it is, because the fact is, while we turn to the domestic market, they're not ready for this spike, and that's the issue. The issue is you can't just go firing up mills left and right. It's not like starting your truck, right? It's
Yeah.
a lot of work to
Yeah.
get mills going, get production going, get these things moving, and the cost to mass produce is very expensive. So yeah, 100% it's going to happen, because there's no other the tariffs are going to do what the tariffs do normally, right? It pushes people. So when you look at the domestic market, you got to remember it from a really like micro point of view, that everybody now, so everyone was happy buying, I know clients that love import, I know clients that only want domestic, but there was enough to go around to supply whoever needed whatever they wanted, whether it was import or whether it was domestic. As all of these import people now turn around and go, dude, I need domestic, well, you can't sustain that, because the mills can only produce X. And remember too, when they're not just running inch and 7/8 24/7. They're running inch and 7/8 one night. They're running inch and 5/8 the next night. They're running, 2-inch, 3-inch, 4-inch, 5. We don't just have this mill at Magic, it pops out inch and 7s. And then the next run pops out inch and 5s. It doesn't work like that. They have to run these in bulk. So they'll run one night, they'll run the inch, or 1 week, or one couple of days, and running inch and 7/8. And then tomorrow they're going to run inch and 2 and 3/8. So what happens when there's a demand like this? You've got people with deeper pockets going out buying up, and the mill's not even ready to run inch and 7/8 for another week. So it's not that simple. Like the mill process, I think sometimes we don't understand that process is not that simple.
Do you think that some of the larger distributors or something, or larger manufacturers or places like that, would deliberately go in and, I have no idea. I'm just speaking out of my mouth right now. I have no idea, nothing to back up what I'm saying. But do you think that it could be, it could ever happen where one of the larger distributors or manufacturers something buys up all the 1 7/8 pipe, and just so they can control part of the market, and then that helps drive the cost up? Or is it, or does the people producing and rolling the pipe or whatever, do they do a pretty good job at distributing it out equally to the country so that everybody gets supplied?
No comment.
So okay.
Look, no, it's not perfect system, right?
Yeah.
So I can't go bashing the domestic market, even though I'm an importer, right? Because the system's not perfect. Ultimately, when you're running a company, and look, you're an install company, you got certain clients and certain GCs, hey, they pay really good, I love working for them. And then I've got certain other GCs that don't pay, that you're like, So when you're busy, let me flip it a little bit. When you're busy, do you necessarily want to work for that GC that's like, just holding on to your money, waving the hat,
No.
So it's the same in the supply on the domestic side, right? There is too much demand and not enough product. Yeah. So the natural behavior of that is, I feel like the natural behavior in any business is you start to pick and choose your battles. You start to pick and choose who necessarily you work with, and et cetera, et cetera. So not necessarily do the big boys just buy the product to hold it. It's just the natural progression is, well, we don't have enough product on the ground. Who am I going to supply? I'm going to supply my best customer that takes care of me, right? And it might happen to be that big boy, but I have to make a choice, because this is all I've got.
It's business. It's a capitalist. I get it. Yeah. We can't complain about the very same business that allows us, the very same system allows us to be in business.
But it's hard in a supply chain. This is what people don't understand. Once you're out of that product, you're out. Like, it's not that simple in the supply chain that, dude, I can produce this no, once I'm out, I'm out. I don't know what I'm going to do next. And that COVID period is a big eye opener domestically, because, these guys produce, I'm just using an inch and 7/8 schedule 40, right? Yeah. They run that. Then they go to the 2 and 3/8. They run that. They sell out, and now it's 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 weeks before the coils. You know what I mean? So
Hey, explain to everybody and how a tariff works exactly. I mean, I think that a lot of people, we have no idea. I mean, of course, and until Trump and everything has got going on, and he says tariffs a beautiful word. So and a lot of us are learning about tariffs. I feel like during we learned a little bit obviously during some of that COVID stuff to a degree and stuff as well, but right now it's a hot topic, and I think a lot of us don't understand. And of course, we've got both sides. We've got the left and the right trying to one says it's great and one says it's bad, and one says that the consumers are paying, one says the businesses and the people and other foreign companies are paying. How does the tariff get paid? Who actually pays this? Or what would a 25%, if we how exactly does that work? What does that do to $100 item, right? A 25% tariff.
So the initial tariff has to be paid by line, for example, right? Okay. So the initial tariff gets paid by us because we're the importer. We bring the goods in. So at port, we have to pay the tariffs to release the product off the bat. There's certain codes that we have to enforce and follow. There's anti-dumping, there's fees, and then there's tariffs. So that they have to get paid at port. So whoever's bringing it in, for example, we'll just use line as an example. It's easy.
Yep. Yeah.
So line brings it in. We have to pay that tariff, right? Us or our factory, one of us is paying a tariff for it to be released out of port.
And you're paying that to the government. You're paying that to the government, to the United States government. The tariff is being paid to. So it's not being paid to the manufacturer back wherever you bought the material or the freight company or anything. You're paying a separate to the United States Treasury Department, the government, whoever it is, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, exactly. The problem with tariffs is they end up getting trickled down to the end user, right? It's just natural. It's a cost of business because everyone thinks there's all this money in selling and distribution, and the honest truth, there isn't. The market's tight, margins are low, there's a lot of competition, which is good for the installer. But when this happens, it just gets trickled down and passed to the end user. And the problem is the install company that's not really working with good vendors that are educating them and helping them go, hey guys, it's coming. You can send me a letter and go, hey, Brian, I'm sending you this letter. But if I say, Brian, bro, hey, coming up next 3 months, I don't know what's going to happen. Make sure you've got escalation clauses. Make sure you're making your clients very aware that we're only holding quotes for 7 days. Because if it's on the ground, it's good. If it's coming, it's a tariff. And maybe the tariff will change in a week. Maybe it won't. And that's the uncertainty right now. There's no blanket, hey, it's locked in, we're off and running. And I feel like I'd rather get it locked in and know, hey, that's business. And then we can just let everyone know, but right now, because it's so uncertain, and I think when tariffs come to, people hedge their bets a little bit, right? Because replacement costs are replacement costs. And you look at the product on the ground and you're like, man, that's worth some money now, right? Where before it was worth little money. Now it's worth money. So you start to hedge your bets and go, well, here's my increase letter, et cetera, because it's truly replacement cost. It's a real thing. But that's where it sort of gets convoluted a little bit. But in the end of the day, I can understand, and as everyone can tell from my accent, I'm from Australia, but I can understand why the tariffs went in, because fair is fair, right? Americans' products are getting tariffed overseas. Yet some of these products that were coming into the country from other countries weren't getting tariffs. So I get the principle, right? That's what people have to understand. It's not just that part's true, but how much is too much, because it's really going to affect business. And
what gets confusing, I think, for a lot of people is we hear 25% tariff on Tuesday, 25% tariff on Tuesday. So we know on Tuesday a 25% tariff went in. And then how come we get an increase from one of the big distributors of 10%? So, I mean, are they eating the 15%? I find it hard to believe, considering, is that what they're doing?
No, yes and no. Good vendors will partner up with clients to go, hey, we'll help you out. But also just know that, let's say it's a blanket 25%. It doesn't mean that's the full amount that line fence is going to get. the 25%, because it's based on all sorts of different products, right? It's 25% coming out of, let's say, Canada. So line orders are from Canada, but it's not necessarily a full 25 because it depends on the product. Raw products different, shipping's different. It depends on shipping costs at the time. It also depends on what we can save and what we can't. And then a finished good might not get the full 25, it might get 20.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very, it's really murky waters, right? So you know, so certain things are 100%, 25% across board does not matter. It matters what country it comes from, and that's it. But generally across the line, it depends on the products, and that's why, you know, there's different increases than you think, you know.
Yeah. So, because I mean, I was just I haven't seen anything higher than a 15% increase coming across. And we get, you know, we purchase from a lot of different places, so we get the notifications, and of course, people are posting them online, and we're seeing them all, and all that stuff. And people are reaching out to me, Brian, what are your thoughts on this? And, you know, how do you feel, you know, about this and this and this? And I've yet to see anything bigger than 15% from anybody. So it just makes me, even myself, wonder, you know, well, we keep seeing 25%, 25. Well, why, you know, what's happening to that 10%? So you're saying it's on each individual item.
I'm seeing 25% increase on steel ornamental, which I do, right? That's that's what Lion's really good at. And it's coming from other companies, not our company. So it's there, but also too domestically, like let's say domestic pipe's only 10%. How much import versus domestic? So all these letters that are going out are very confusing for customers because they're like, oh, what's going, you know? So I just tell everyone out there that talks to us, you know, look, guys, we're going to educate you, we're going to help you through this. I warn everyone, try to work with FWA, try to work with good vendors that can help navigate through this because it's a mess. It's completely uncertain times. And just protect yourself because, you know, I feel like if you're not aware, you can't do anything. But at least if you're aware, you know some things that you can try to work out.
When I saw you last week at Fence Tech, I noticed that, and a lot of stuff has changed in the last year, 2 years. When I saw you at Fence Tech, you were surrounded by a lot of the European and Asian markets and stuff that were coming in, way more than I've ever seen at a fence show. You know, it was a lot, and it was a lot of guys selling iron and things like that. So I'm just curious with that huge, I don't know if they were always here or if it's new, but with all these new suppliers and manufacturers that are coming in selling to fence companies and everything, do you think that's going to help control the fence companies from being taken advantage of, or the greedy people that would have normally raised the price 60, 70%? You know what I mean? Even though there was only a 20% tariff, or 10, 15, 20. So do you think that's going to help control the market a little bit for fencers anyway?
Well, look, I think, you know, I mean, you always talk about competition's good.
Yeah.
As long as it's good competition, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you play sport and your opponent's always weak, how do you improve? So if competition's strong, you're going to get better as a sports player as well. Same goes in business. So if the competition's good and playing by the American rules, it's good. It's healthy for everybody because it means that everyone's got a more even playing field when it comes to the installation side. The issue is, are they playing by the rules? Now, so everyone's going to ask me, what are the ruls, Sash?
I just wrote down American rules because I'm going to circle back to that.
Oh,
I love that you said that. I didn't want to forget that.
So, look, you know, we don't have to dig up a dead horse that's buried 3-4 years ago when I moved from a big company to come over here, right? So people said a lot of not so nice things about Sasha, all right, and Lion, but we never came to the market to try to just cheapen it. We came to market to work to take care of like that, you know, that distribution model, right? Like nobody wants to destroy that model because I feel like this had happened, this new era of all these importers and European importers coming in, this could be bad for distribution. And I feel like we're trying to circle back and go, no, we need distribution. We really do. We don't, like this direct sale model, and Line has a part of the direct sale model, but it's a hybrid, and it's what we've told people many times. If we sell to a distributor, you're getting a better price. We sell to a contractor, you're getting a better price. Not as good as a distributor because they need to resell it.
Right.
And then everybody underneath pays a fair price, but it's not like the contractor. So we're trying to protect the industry in the fact that you need distribution, right?
Yep.
Now, when you allow other companies in, and look, that's fair. I told you, competition's good.
So
To
interrupt for 1 second. So when you say American rules, we're thinking about, because by the way, when America is different than a lot of places, a lot of other countries. I mean, we are probably holding on to the manufacturer, distributor, dealer, end user, or which is the homeowner, customer, or whoever it happens to be. We are holding on to that model, and we're holding on to it as long as we can here in the U.S. and America, a lot longer. So is that the American? Is that going to be the American rules you're thinking? The manufacturer, distributor, and then dealer, which is a fence company kind of model?
Yeah, that's the model, I believe. Again, coming from an Australasian market, European market for many, many years, it's a different model. It's a completely different model. Yep. Where the American market is that model within a nutshell, sort of, a little different, but that's pretty much it. So that model, I feel like, is a healthy model, but there's a break in that chain. And the scary thing, not scary, because it's not scary, but the fact that there's now more foreign companies coming in and going more direct and circumnavigating, that distribution model. And the issue is, what's the point? It's like, how do they sell, right? Like, so certain companies will sell a certain way, and certain companies will try to tell, the American people, hey, no, this is what you want. This is what we're selling you. And that's like, yeah, no, that's not going to work either. So It has to be a balance. And I feel like that could be a problem with seeing that many. To be honest with you, I've never seen it with that many manufacturers from overseas.
You're talking about last week at Fence Tech?
Yeah, that was the biggest I've ever seen, that many.
So do you think, though, going back to my original question, do you think, and of course we're the Fence Workers Association, so while I'm also somebody that distributes and sells a lot of materials around the country, now I'm talking to you as the president of the Fence Workers Association, which is 80% above a lot of the workers in the small fence companies and things like that. So for our members, do you think that because of the access to all these additional, direct sale manufacturers and things like that, do you think that's going to keep everybody in check is what I'm kind of asking? Do you think that some of the people we'd normally buy from, that if they didn't have all that would have maybe raised it up and got away with it, do you think it's going to check it a little bit because we have access outside of our normal controls that we would have?
I think it's going to keep it maybe initially, right? But the issue at the end of the day is quality. Like, it's like, and my theory 5 years ago was very simple. I feel like quality is going to be less and less important because as the market tightens and we're all trying to make money, and it's all going to be about price, but not as much, right? It's like, so yeah, there's going to be quality issues. There's going to be all sorts of representation issues, representation in America. Like, there's going to be all these little things that I think, initially I believe it's going to cause a stir, but I think people are going to find out that at the end of the day, this American model per se, I think it's going to change a little bit. It might be a little bit more hybrid than it's ever been, but I really feel it's a model that, we need to try to keep somewhat alive, try to keep it.
We got to protect it. We got to protect it. And, I'm a big fan of the manufacturer, distributor, dealer, and then out to everybody else. And I guess I look back and, I have a lot more discussions than probably I ever have, or probably anybody should have, regarding this subject, because I talk to a lot of fence companies and they all struggle with the same thing about supplies and stuff and about service. And and you've heard me say this before, I think we stopped judging our companies by their service and their products and started judging them by who they sell their products to. And that's where it's gone. It feels like, and I can't help. And I have this question I have with a lot of people. I'm like, I get, I think they were always here. I think that you could always, we were always getting hit up, whether through Alibaba, whatever it was. We were always getting hit up by people from Asia and stuff specifically, right? Trying to sell chain link, iron, and all this stuff. But, for decades, we just blew them off. We wouldn't even talk to them. It wouldn't matter if they were here or anywhere else. Look, Sasha, you came into my office for 5 years. You couldn't even get past the front door, right? I was that loyal. That loyal to my distributors, right? And I did nothing. I bought everything. Even if right now, if you go to my yard, most of it's still from distributors. Every iron, 10,000 temporary panels I bought from distributors, where either came from builders, merchants, masters, or whoever it happened to be that was delivering up to us. And we had a system. It was a good system that worked. We supplied smaller fence companies here. We supplied contractors and, mainly contractors. And if there was events going on, whether it be, things like that, they would come buy the temporary panels from us. And, I'm just using numbers. Say we sold those for, 120 to 150. That was what a going price in the neighborhood or something. But then all of a sudden we're bidding against our distributors, and they're selling them to the contractors and selling them to the event places for the same price they sell them to me for. So although I didn't want to talk to people like yourself that was coming in, or I'm not putting you as the bad guy, but you know what I mean? Anybody that was trying, that was selling to us besides my same distributor I bought from at all. Yeah. And then it felt like we had to go out and find, and go around the distributor because the distributor went around us. Yeah. So I look at, why are they here? Why is the Asian and the European markets here? And why is it working so well right now when it didn't work 10, 15 years ago? So we got to ask ourselves, what's causing that?
Oh, look, the magic question's why. I think we can complain all we want. Like me too, I complain all I want because we're an American-based company that happens to import, right? We're American-based, American employees, blah, 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 blah. But then I have to look at myself and go, well, why are they here, right? So they're not here because we pushed them out. They're here because there was an opening. Right.
Yeah. And I didn't mean to lump you in with that market. I was lumping you in with the fact that I was as loyal, and I think fencers are as loyal. They're probably some of the most loyal customers you can possibly have. And we have been for decades and decades to one specific distributor that maybe our uncle bought from or our father bought from. And we stick with that person. We don't question their pricing. We don't play any games. We order, we write a check when the stuff's delivered, or maybe have the credit. So when I say, you were coming in or reached out, we wouldn't even talk to anybody else. So what is opening that door up for everybody? You know what I mean? If our distributors and stuff are still there, what's making it possible for them to come in and dump all these money into our trade shows, all this money into our advertising, our sponsorships? How are they able to do it now when they couldn't do it 10 years ago?
Because I feel like distribution needs to recheck itself, right? So Brian, I think we get, I can only put myself in that box. I won't put you in there because, I don't want to have to answer for you. But, I think we get misinterpreted, especially me, because I don't want the distribution model to go. But the problem is the distribution model needs to check itself, because how does that make sense if my customer, for example, Las Vegas Fence, has a retail business, and I'm now selling to your GCs and people you're selling to? It makes it very difficult for you to bolt on some more money into your business. And that was not our traditional model. Like the traditional distribution model was, preached to me from day one when I started in American distribution, was C13 license, only sell to fence contractors, only sell to fence. It was just drilled into me. And it made sense, right? It is. Like, we're here to protect that industry. Yet somewhere along the line, Brian, and really don't care who out there disagrees with this because it's living proof it's happened. I know you've experienced it firsthand. We've sort of lost our way a bit, We need to rein that back and remember this industry isn't built without the fence installer. End of story, see you later. And some of these fence installers, and I'm not going to say some, a lot of fence installers have a retail business. It's part of, hey, we're buying chain link, we're buying fittings, we're buying pipe, we're buying iron. Like, let's stock a bit. And in their little communities, look, even in Southern California, I sell, but I have clients that have little retail businesses all through SoCal. And we're surrounded by the biggest some of the biggest supply companies of America in SoCal. Like, we're saturated.
Yeah.
Yet in these little pockets, I have customers that have retail businesses. So it's a fine line, but we've got to remember as distributors, if we're going to preach this C13, whatever that license is, then we've got to live it. But if we're not going to preach it, then that's okay. But don't say you're doing something and you're all about this when you're not. And I feel like that's how we rein back that I won't say the good old days. I don't even think they'll ever be the good old days, but at least rein back that distribution model that I feel like, Brian, as a fence, I'm an ex-fence installer. I didn't want to deal with 3 manufacturers and 3 distributors. I had a foil guy. I'd go to him first. And if for some reason he didn't have it as I was doing these bids, I'd go to the other guys because he just didn't have it. But generally, I don't have time to go pricing things and walking around. I've got to work with someone because I got my head down throwing out, estimation after estimating after bid after quote after, and then throw in the tariffs. Like, I've got my head down like, oh, how do I bid this? The tariffs are here. So the last thing I want to do is worry about my distributor selling to
my God. Yeah, it's got to be exhausting. No, and don't get me wrong. I am a big fan, if anybody knows me, of if you got a product, sell it to whoever you want. So, I want to protect the distribution model and, the what we call the American rules. I had to write it down because I'm going to remember that. But I want to protect that. But at the same time, I'm a fan of everybody selling to whoever they want to sell to. Right. But what I'm not a fan of is protecting it when, only for certain parts of it. I think that if we're going to respect it, everybody has to respect it. 100%. I don't think just the fence company should respect it. Everybody else does whatever they want, and it's tough, man. But I can only imagine having a product or something that you developed and you built, and then none of the distributors want to carry it or something. And then you're out going, well, I got to feed my family. I got a mortgage and kids to put through school and things like that. So it's either you got to go belly up or you got to start selling your products to the fence companies. So what do you think we can do to, I hate to see it. My prediction in the next 3 to 5 years is if we're not careful, we're going to have nothing but a hybrid model happening. And it's going to either hurt or I don't know how it's going to affect the small fence companies because as much as I'm not happy the way the distributors are going around the fence companies, I'm going to be less happy that we don't have them there to service the small fence companies that can't afford to buy truckloads and things like that. But I don't think that it's right that they're abused, you know what I mean? And that I don't think that they should be dropping stuff. They should be using our distribution channels of the small fence companies to supply box stores and things like that. I think that's not right either. So I don't know. I think if we don't fix that, it's going to be a mess. I think it's going to be real topsy-turvy for the for the distribution model, and all of a sudden we're going to be stuck with just everybody direct selling. So I'm nervous about that, and I'm hoping that some of that gets fixed. What do you think something we can do to fix that, or do you think it's just kind of going down a road that there's not much anybody can do because it's set in its ways?
Well, the issue isn't can we fix it? Yes, we can. Are we going to fix it? Well, we need to get together, right? And the issue that distribution has is we're all trying to outdo each other. We're all trying to, who's in your booth? Who's in, got the binoculars down? Like, who cares? Like, we need to start and I mean, dude, I've been beating this drum since the day I started at Line. It's not the model that we wanted. It was the model we were forced to do, right? And in the end of the day, if we're not working with each other, we're working against each other. So I feel like that's the issue. Like, in this uncertain times, like, I don't care what fence company, whether you got 1 truck or 50 trucks, good luck bidding right now. You are going to struggle to bid. I don't care. If you're not lined up with the right vendors helping you navigate through these tariffs, you're going to struggle to bid. And I feel bad because what's going to happen there? Because just like the domestic market, the supply chain issue is going to be this. I don't have it. What do you mean you don't have it? Well, we sold out of it because we can't get it quick enough, right? Or, there's all these supply chain issues. Or, oh, by the way, the cost is 50% higher. Well, what do you mean it's 50%? I bid it at this price. I don't have 50%. Look, I don't even have 15% to put in this. So I feel like that's where I feel like that education part. Look, we don't need to get along, but I don't understand. Like, we're all selling fence. Like, so from the supply side, right? From distribution side, we're all selling fence. Who cares? There's plenty of work out there. We just need to remember we can work together and work this out, but that takes people, that takes movements, that takes effort. But in the meantime, if we don't, I'm telling you, these importers are going to come in, and yes, power's going to go to, it's going to shift, and installers are going to go there. Yeah, they're going to get rorted because not all of these importers are who they crack themselves out to be.
Yeah.
And there's going to be lessons learned, but it's going to be disruptive for sure, without a question in my mind.
Man, I hope not. I mean, I know, you know, with FWA and the fence show and all that, I'm part of somebody that's maybe pushing things to come sooner, because I am so out there and so open about it. And I think for so long, nobody's talked about it. It's almost like they're afraid to upset somebody, right? Or afraid to say something, they might get cut off or this or that. But I think I say stuff because I want it to stop. I want it to go to, you know, back to how it's supposed to be. And I want that chain. I want that fence companies buying from distributors, and but I want the distributors buying from the manufacturers, you know, not, you know, and not trying to control it to the point where one manufacturer controls the whole market and we're all at the mercy of one manufacturer deciding who's getting the jobs based off of this person they supply the materials to and things like that. So I want a more open channel of lots of options, because if the European and Asian markets are willing to come in and sell, I'm sure they would rather sell through distributorships. I'm guessing if I was coming in here, I'd rather sell my product in bulk to the large distributors and have the distributors, which already have the, you know, the network to distribute it out to all of us through our channels, right? I'm sure they'd rather go that route. I'd like to see them open the floodgates to more options on materials and buying from you, you know what I mean? And stuff like that as well. And I'd rather see you guys all just supply these distributors and the distributors do that. They've got the network in place and stuff. But my nervousness is if we don't get to that point where, you know, they're looking out for our best interests and they're shopping for the best deal they can get to get us the best deal, not just relationships. You know, with a couple manufacturers, I think that it's going to go away, and I'm nervous. So I hope that it changes, and I hope that it changes. I hope distributors get stronger and see what's happening as well, you know, and fix that. So let's talk about the fence show, man, for a second. I know you and I could go down that road for a long time. So being that we were just talking about fence tech, you had pretty similar booth at the fence show, and a lot of people are already reaching out to us. We had a flood of people every year after fence tech. We just get flooded with people getting their booths for the fence show.
Yep.
So you guys are going to be there. You got your booth all picked out?
Yeah, we're there. We're going to be center up line in the show. We're looking forward to it. I'm excited about it. You know, clients, new people. Yeah, I can't wait. You know, love Vegas. One of my favorite places to run away from the wife. Did I say that on one podcast? Sorry. She's coming in just, you know, having aside. So now, look, it's. I'm excited, right? It's all about. I feel the atmosphere's there, and you know, it's a good time. Love the venue. Feel like it's affordable. I know a lot of my clients loved it, and yeah, it's going to be a good show. Can't wait.
Yeah, we got some cool stuff. Anybody's listening. Actually, the portal's open now for hotel rooms too. We opened that up not too long ago. So fenceshow.com. Go in there and register. You have a code too. I don't know if we got your code. We should have got you. Made sure you knew your code. We're going to drop in the comments. We're going to drop Sasha's code in if you want to register and get a free Expo hall pass.
Let's do it.
We're pretty excited about it. It'll be a lot of new people coming in, a lot of large groups. We found that we really kind of catered it to not just the business owners themselves coming, but being able to bring their whole team to get more fencers and stuff to the show as well. And I got a lot of people making it there. I guess we had one guy that came over and said, hey, you know what, we're going to be bringing 10 people this year. We brought just me and our wife last year. And they said, you guys have made it to where, you know, you could put 2 people in a room for $250 for the whole week. And they're using this as a big morale booster. And we got another guy that said, hey, you know what? We bring our team of 20 to your show, and we make them work for it. Every one of them has to get an OSHA 30 card or something on their own time. Or
there you go.
You know, so that we make them, and they have to, when they go to the class, they got to sit through at least a couple of the classes when they go to the show. So there's little things you can do like that, and the morale is just you know, through the roof. They look forward to it, you know, for you know, every year coming. So Sasha, I know I probably made you talk on a couple subjects that I wasn't planning. We were just going to talk about tariffs, but somehow you and I always got stuff to talk about.
Sort of hang me, like, you know, tighten that noose a little bit. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. I'm gonna let you go home.
Oh,
And everybody that's watching live, thank you. And everybody that's watching this, in the future, pre-recorded, we appreciate you taking the time. We will talk to everybody next Wednesday. We got some really cool stuff going on next Wednesday. We'll be doing some sneak peeks of what we're going to be discussing, but definitely watch for those. Sash, we'll talk to you later, man.
Thanks. All right.